Hey, what's up guys? My name is Cameron Gallagher from We Are Film, and today we're talking about shooting some fashion with a model, so let's get into it. So I did a fashion shoot for a local boutique, and I sort of want to talk about how you work with shooting with a model, and this goes for video or photo, but how you would kind of shoot a fashion shoot and sort of just some things to think about while you're doing it, and show you some kind of test images and kind of talk about what we got going on and how we did it. So one of the first biggest things you want to do is to know your audience and know the stuff that you're actually producing. Now that sounds kind of dumb, but basically you need to know who you're marketing towards and who these photos are marketing towards. So by knowing the shop or the brand or whatever you're working for and kind of knowing who they're trying to target can really influence how you're going to shoot your photos. So for instance, if you have a really hipster kind of brand, you're going to want to take photos that look very hipster. If you're sort of an old school, very conservative type of brand, maybe for older people, maybe you don't want to shoot a very hipster photo shoot. You want to shoot a little more conservative, maybe high key, things like that. So those are things you really want to keep in mind before you even get a camera, before you even start shooting or doing anything. The next one is to have a good model, and this is huge. So in our case, Jacqueline was our model. I'm going to leave her Instagram link down in the description below. So one of the best things was that I actually knew her already, so it made things a lot easier, and it just made things that much more comfortable and easy to talk to and work with. So if you don't know the person you're working with, you want to try to get comfortable with them and sort of just talk with them before, see what their expectations are, what your expectations are, and then how you can easily work together to make sure to get that goal. Now, the thing about having a good model is a good model knows what to do with their body, their face, all that kind of stuff, and they just know how to pull it off. Putting hands and feet and standing in weird positions is very strange, and if they're uncomfortable doing it, it's going to look uncomfortable. So if you have a good model who knows how to do the modeling stuff, like you ever see the models that just kind of like move really weird, and you're like, what are they doing? They know what they're doing. So definitely get a model who knows what they're doing. Now the next one's kind of just a broad term, but it's be chill. Just be relaxed. Go out there, have fun, and just be relaxed. Because if you're not chill and you're not relaxed, the model's going to feel stressed, the client may feel stressed, and you're probably going to end up taking bad photos. So just be relaxed and just work with what you got. And that brings me to work with the backdrops that you have. Now, if you're doing it in a studio, you may have studio backdrops, you may have colors or things like that. Or if you're doing it out and about, like a street photography like we kind of did, just see what you have, look around, and take note of everything. Take note of the lighting, take note of how maybe certain colors match with the clothes that you're using. That was one of the biggest things that we saw, was that we noticed we had a couple different looks, sort of the brick wall, sort of urban look. We had this nice fence. We also had this kind of like street post. And then we had this really cool like yellow brick kind of thing that felt very like Mediterranean. So by using all of these different locations with fitting inside of what the person was wearing, that way it sort of just made a little more sense, and it kind of made a better overall experience because what we were shooting was also sort of what was going on in the background. So if you have a more urban type of fashion or whatever you're doing, you might want to have more of an urban type backdrop. And obviously if you have more of maybe a sundress, something like we did, that kind of Mediterranean dress, you want to have sort of that flowier Mediterranean look to it. So by using what your backdrops are and then adapting to those is going to be huge. And again, that goes with lighting. You want to see what you have for lighting. So is it sunset? Is it midday? I mean, try to get yours in a good time of lighting, but if you can't, work with what you have and sort of figure it out. So this one's big, and that's think about what you've seen in the past. So think about inspiration. I recommend taking screenshots of modeling and fashion shoots that you like, because that way you have something to jump off of, and you also know maybe what you want your model to do and how you want to frame, because that's what fashion shooting is all about, is really framing and sort of what the model's doing, and it's how you're capturing that. Exposure and all that kind of stuff, yes, it's very important, and obviously you want to show the clothes in the best way you can, but by making sure that they're posed well and that your composition is very good, as long as your exposure is normal and exposed properly, it's going to look good. Your lighting has to be out of this world. It's just as long as you compose and they are composed very well, I think you're going to get some of the best photos. And that was one of the tricks. What we did was finding those best positions to stand in or to move in or to act in, and sort of the best backdrop for that, and then how we were going to go ahead and shoot that. So use inspiration. I was thinking about album covers, and I was thinking about different fashion shoots I've seen in the past, both photo and video, to kind of help me think about what's going on. I also like to think about motion too, even if it's not video but it's photo. What would a motion be? Is the person sitting, moving their head? Maybe they're listening to music in essence, or maybe they're walking down the street. By getting those things, it feels more like a situation, less of like, I'm going to pose this person right in exactly the same kind of spot. One of the things I had Jacqueline do is when she was sitting by the street post, I actually had her kind of rock back and forth. And what that did is kind of gave me this motion, and it gave me a natural movement to her head, which then obviously in photo form, when it stopped at certain points, it kind of gave a nice natural look as if she was kind of swaying her head or sort of, bopping to music or something like that. The other thing is let the model feel it. Let them get into it. Let them do their thing and ask them, what do they want to feel or how do they want to act or something like that, because they also may know the clothes better than you do. They probably do. In my case, they definitely do. So, it's asking them, hey, what do you think? What do you feel? What do you think is a good feature to show off of this piece of clothing? And they know their body, they know their face, they know whatever it may be, so they know how they look best. That way, if you go off them, you're going to make sure that you're getting the best photos possible. So the last thing is to show off the fashion, but don't show it off too much. And I think there's a kind of like inherent idea of like, oh, this is a fashion shoot, so we should really show off the clothes and like have this close up of the clothes. And maybe that's true, and maybe you should get one of those, probably just for safety. But I really think by shooting it as more of a portrait session that's featuring the clothes, you get that naturalistic sort of feel that this person is wearing the clothes and they're not trying to show you the clothes they're wearing, they're just wearing those clothes. And I think that's what styles have been going towards, is just showing off the fact that I'm wearing these clothes in this situation, take it or leave it. If you're trying to show off the clothes too much, I think it can really hurt the actual shoot. Now, I still say get those shots for the client in case they want it. But I do think it's more important to sort of see it as a portrait session. Now, granted, you don't want just a headshot unless it's earrings or a necklace, but you want to make sure you're getting, again, them in the environment, and then the clothes are a part of that. So I know these weren't a ton of shooting tips really, but I think it's more of the situational tips and sort of how to go about actually shooting these projects in a little less of a practical sense, but a little more of a sort of, pre-production kind of sense in a way. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. We have a lot more cool stuff coming soon on photography too, so be sure to stay tuned. If you're not already subscribed, be sure to. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later.